So today we're going to be going over how to do UVs on a curvy pipe. So we have our curvy pipe here, and I can tell you with some confidence that this thing is having some problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable my textures with this little checkerboard circle icon, and I can see, wow, they're stretched. This texture is of some paisley, kind of like pixelated paisley. So anyway, it's clearly not that here. It's long stripes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to UV editor, and then we're going to select the UVs of the sides. See where we're working with. So well, it looks like, oh, the pipe is all set up in the middle, right? I'm going to set off my background image. Oh, it looks like, oh, it seems as though the pipe is all UV because it looks so tidy. Oh, this is great. Okay, we're done. We don't have to do anything. Well, we know that's not true because there's some issues back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this over here, kind of looking at it. Okay, no, that's not that. Look at this. Well, what's selected? Okay, well, I can't tell where these faces are, so I'm going to just select the faces. Okay, well, it looks like actually those faces are all squished around the edges of this cap. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, this sucks. What do I do now? Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to that selection all of the original cylinder sides, which are over here. I'm going to Control-Shift add them. Okay, so now I have all the sides selected, but not the top or the bottom, which is what we wanted. So I have all of those faces selected, so then I go Polygons, Unitize. And so what it did is it made each one of those faces a unit, and or whatever, I would guess that's what unitize would mean. And then it stretched each face to 0, 1, completely stretched it to fill the 0, 1 UV space for the UV map, or UV map coordinates for all those faces. So then now we have them all selected. Great. Now they're all evenly distributing the pattern of the image, which can also be overridden with this UV checker pattern. So you can see that each one of the faces has the 0 to 1 UV space going on in it. So that's what we're seeing. Okay, so we got that. We figured it out. We're happy with that. And the texture is like tiling across the right and everything. So it's all good, right? Well, that's good. Well, no, I mean, that's good for this sort of right now, but that's not really going to be good in general, because what we want is all of our UVs to be connected so that we can have a one texture apply across them. We're probably not going to use this awful paisley, so we'll turn it off. So now we have just the faces selected, and we're going to go find ourselves an edge. In 3ds Max, they would have called it I guess that's an edge seam, or they would have called this making, you could draw the seams. So that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to make an edge selection, and then that's going to be the edge which we hope the player or whoever, the viewer, can't see. So we're going to try to place it in a position such that it will be positioned on the opposite side of the object from the player. So I'm just going around back. I found this edge here, or one of these edges, doesn't really matter. But so I'm going to shift select one and then shift select its next neighbor, and then double click on the neighbor, and then we get this kind of it like figures out well where it thinks that edge loop is going. So I'm going to deselect by control selecting the top and bottom edges, or the edges that continued up to the caps of the cylinder, and I'm going to deselect them. But now I've just got this I've just got the back edge selected. So then I'm going to go back into my UV editor, and I'm going to cut that edge. Or I guess I don't need to cut it because they're already cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down shift, and then marquee select. So you want to have Q. You want to press Q on the keyboard with the main window selected, and that'll bring you into your selection mode. Hold down shift, and then left mouse click drag to marquee select, and then it'll select all of the edges that weren't selected. It'll invert the selection, as it were. It'll select everything except what you have currently selected when you hold down shift. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deselect the edges that were still selected were unselected on the top and the bottom, which I still don't want to be selected now. So I'm going to control deselect these edges from the top and the bottom. In fact, there's probably other ones I should deselect too, because I don't want this whole top edge to do that. So I'm going to control click one and then its neighbor again, and then then it does the same, edge loop functionality. So I'm going to control, select an edge, and then its neighbor. So now I've deselected everything except for the inner edges of this selection. So now that I have the real selection that I really have always wanted selected, then I'm going to go up to the little another button close to the cut vertices button, and it's the move and sew, or the move and sew, button. So we do that. It would be nice if any of these buttons had help bubbles come up, but I don't know if that's something I need to set. Anyway, so now I have this nice, beautiful distributed connected grid which represents all of the UV coordinates for these vertices. So that's good. I mean, it's good in the sense that it's satisfying to me to look at, but it's actually not good because it does not a very good approximation of this shape. As you can see in the real world, these objects are not square. They're like elongated rectangles. So what we want to do is we want to select all of these faces, or all of these UVs. So you can make sure you're in UV mode by right-clicking and going into UV mode. And then select this UV, and then control right-click and go to shell. If you go up in the UV editor, there's also a select by UV shell tool, and you can go up there and click on it, and that's what it looks like. It looks like a little grid, and then 4 arrows pointing away from it, or 3 arrows pointing away from it. So what you do is then you select one of the UVs in the UV shell you want to select, and then it selects it. So then we have it selected. We're going to go polygons, unfold, I guess. Unfold, maybe that'll work. Let's see how that looks. So this is the nearer approximation of how so you can see that this is the most evenly distributed. So for me, I would like this because if I was going to texture this, I would, I'd probably want to have a pretty even distribution of that texture. Obviously I want to rotate it, but so this is actually most correct, so I think that in most cases F8, we should be done because this is kind of how we want it to look as far as from a texture perspective, or as far as a modeling perspective. This is the best, or pretty close to the best approximation of the 3D space onto the image. But since we are sort of pirates in the sea of modeling, what we're going to do is Control Z back till we have this thing not perfectly unfolded, and we're going to polygon. Maybe we can go to the unfold options and see maybe we can like that. So the trick here is go from the unfold 3D to the legacy unfold, and you check the little first. It's the first options in the dialog, and then it unlocks some of these other options, and then that you can constrain how you apply your unfold. Okay, so I'm going to set the constraint to just horizontal, and that way it'll kind of get the get the faces to be a little more vertically aligned or vertically oriented. Okay, so that's a little better. So this is still pretty good, but now it's kind of obeying the horizontal. I mean, that's pretty good. I'm not gonna get much better than that. So then I'm gonna polygon layout. I don't know if so that's good. So layout just snapped it right into place now. So we pretty much had pretty similar results. It's slightly more obeying. See, the thing I don't like about this is now I'm using all this UV space for this stupid. See, what I don't like about this is that we're using all this UV space for the top and the bottom. So, I mean, I don't like them. I think you should get rid of them. But, they could be pipe connectors or something, so we'll leave them here. So, I guess there's not much to say about that. That's pretty much the process. You can take this now and copy it to your new UV set if you're going to have a Lightmap UV set, which I do. Maybe for the Lightmap UV, we don't want this to be quite so scrunched. I'm going to scale it away from its neighboring. I mean, they weren't really that close at all, but I don't know. Who knows how small the UV maps might get. Okay, so then I've got this object selected. I'm going to display all the rest of my objects now, all the rest of the stuff that I was hiding. So I'm going to display, show, all. Yeah, okay. Ooh, and I put this ghastly texture on everything. What a mistake. Okay, so then this is my kind of scene here. If I can get a look at it without this enclosing wall obstructing me. Doesn't look like it can. I'll look at it from the outside. Cool. Okay, so now I have all of this stuff. And then I will select it all. And then I'm going to go File, Export Selection. I don't have a cat, that was my chair. So I'm going to go up to my curved prop object, which is what this thing is. Or is that what this is called? No, it's called Room Pipes Cave, something like that. Okay. I have it all selected. I have all my settings set. Actually, I guess I don't. I don't need any animation. So then I'm going to export that. Do I want to replace it? Yeah, I have it checked out, so I can replace it. Checked out doesn't mean anything new. I have it. I can change it, so I do change it. And then I'm going to go back in here. Whoa! So then I'm going to go back into my project folder. Here's the room pipes cave. It has generate Lightmap UV set off. I'm not going to optimize the mesh. And then I'm going not to import blend shapes. I guess we can generate colliders. That seems weird. Okay, so then now I've fixed the UV maps on both of these things, but they haven't been compiled with the light. So then I'm going to go into my lighting and build my lighting and see how they look when they're all fixed. Okay, so that's already an improvement. So yeah, so I think you'll probably have a lot more to do, but that's the basic process for kind of fixing them. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. If you like this video, that's good. That's great. Okay, so see you later.